It's exactly 1 week since the tragic death of 8 gallant men in a military helicopter crash. Today on News Central, we'll discuss why retooling the various security agencies is non-negotiable.
Also, Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs urges government to honor the memory of the 8 individuals by bringing an end to Galamsey and its devastating consequences.
Also ahead in this broadcast, Savannah Region Security Council steps up efforts against the sale and use of illicit drugs in the region. You're watching News Central live on TV3. I'm Kemeni Amano.
And I am Mawina Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now. A week after the tragic death of the 8 gallant men at Sikaman in the Ashanti region, government says investigations have started with special requests sought for external help in that regard. Pressure has been mounting on the Ghana Armed Forces and the government over a lack of briefing on progress of investigations, fueling conspiracy theories. Notable among the critics have been some government communicators who faulted the military over the operations and the silence since the unfortunate incident. Speaking to the media during a visit by the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, Deputy Defence Minister Aboagye said they have received good news of international partnership to unravel the reason behind the crash.
Forces have already begun investigations into the incident. We have made requests for international collaboration and we have received positive response in that regard. And so we want to assure you, our chiefs, that nothing will be covered, to be transparent, and the public, Ghanaian public, will know exactly what happened and the cause of this tragic accident. We also want to caution the media and some analysts who have been churning out misinformation and untruths about this whole incident. All I want to say is that Ghanaians should trust that the ministry and the Ghana Armed Forces are going to be diligent in the investigations and transparent about it. And whatever was the cause will be known to the people of Ghana, and we will take some lessons out of that. Our minister was so fantastic, even in the short period that he served at the ministry. There are many people who will have good stories to tell about him. We know the aggressive strategy that he undertook to retool the Ghana Armed Forces. Unfortunately for us, he didn't live to see the fruits of that strategic step. And so we want to thank you so much for coming to visit us. We have opened the book of condolence. I'm sure from here you sign it. On Thursday, we will hold a mass service for 2 of the persons that work with the ministry, the minister and squadron leader, Anala, at the Christ the King Church from 6 p.m.
That's Deputy Defence Minister Aboagye. Let's connect right now with my colleague Christian Yali, who was at that engagement. Christian, thank you very much for speaking to us. So quite a lot stated there by the Deputy Defence Minister. The chiefs were amongst many others who are asking for openness in the investigation. How did they take these assurances as they came in? Well, does appear Christian cannot hear me just as yet. I'll try one more time. Christian, if you can hear me, I'm asking what the reaction of the chiefs were to the assurances which came from the ministry. Right. Christian Yale, we'll hear from him shortly. But we know that the president of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, he's called on the government to ensure the welfare of the immediate family and children of the deceased is taken care of. Ken Odai Theo Walenchi III further stressed that the country must endeavor to end the illegal mining menace at all costs, considering the manner in which the 8 died. He and his delegation moved from the Defense Ministry to the Burma camp as well to sign a book of condolence. Let's hear from him.
These gallant men are on their way to serve mankind, and they let this tragedy. May their soul rest in perfect peace. Regrettably, there's nothing we can do about it as humans. But the only thing we have to do is to bring the president, the members of parliament, the bereaved family, the Ghana Armed Forces, and then the nation at large. That's the only thing we can do. And it's our sincere request from the region that all and sundry must give respect, privacy, and care to the bereaved families. We talk about death, and sooner or not, they will forget about everything. This time around, we are pleading with government that the children of these gallant men must be cared for by the government. Successive governments or whatever, these children of these gallant men must be cared for, so that they attain the heights of their fathers, or even higher than that. Until then, some of us will never be happy. And now, if what we heard is true, that they are in the line of their duty, then somebody may ask, what kind of duty that caused them? Illegal mining, aka Galamsey. This is what has cost their life. If we cannot do anything about this politically, once and for all, that will stop this thing, then this gallant men have died for nothing. This country should rise up and do whatever possible to stop this Galamsey in this country.
Christian, I understand, has joined us back on the telephone. Christian, I'll start off with what the president of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs said, asking that this be used as the opportune avenue to end Galamsey once and for all. Was there a response from the deputy minister, even before I try to get a bit more from the chiefs as well?
Exactly, Eric. And just as the conversation has been over the period, the Deputy Defense Minister indicated that as part of the probe into this crash, government would also fashion out the modalities to ensure that illegal mining is nipped in the bud. But you know that, and as it were, because they were en route to Aboagye for the launch of the responsible community mining project, which is to deal with illegal mining, it just means that from the government end, it becomes a matter of great concern that they deal with illegal mining head on. And so he responded to this call by the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs president that illegal mining is dealt with once and for all to make the sacrifice these 8 men have made worth it or bear the fruit thereof. And so there are those steps or those measures that will be put in place to ensure that Galamsey, as it were, is dealt with head on. But there again, there are some reservations, and even beyond the meeting between the chiefs and the deputy defense minister, there are some who have continued to have some reservations when it comes to this whole conversation, because it is one that is so broad fact that you are unable to tell it politically, but it just means that there should be that kind of political will and dedication as a country to deal with it.
And just quickly, Christian, as well, on the assurance by the deputy minister that the investigations will be transparent and that we're getting help externally, how well do the chiefs welcome this assurance as well?
It was such refreshing to Deputy Minister make assurance that the investigations are going to be transparent and nothing will be covered. There again, because concerns have been very rampant about the fact that the Ghana Armed Forces seem to be very quiet, coming with information which has paved the way for people to be so much speculative about this whole issue and the kind of misinformation and untruths that are being peddled outside. And so for him to make this statement means that it comes at the right time to assure the public that something of the sort is going to be done, and the fact that every detail of the investigative outcome is going to be made known to the public. And so for the chief, it's quite welcoming and refreshing to hear that the Ghana Armed Forces and even under the Ministry of Defense itself is going to do this, and without mention of the external help, it just means that it is one that is going to be tackled on all fronts.
Just finally, they moved to the Burma camp. What activity did they engage in, the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs?
They basically have come to the headquarters of the Ghana Armed Forces to sign a book of condolence. What we know is that from here, we'll proceed to the seat of government, the presidency as well, where it is expected that they would also embark on the same activity there to sign a book of condolence in memory of the departed aide. Eric.
Christian, thank you very much for those details. Christian Yale is my colleague following the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs. We've been making quite a number of stops all a week on since that tragic incident.
Now, this afternoon, management and staff of the National Disaster Management Organization are observing the one-week commemoration of their departed colleague and Deputy Director Samuel Aboagye. Aboagye was among 8 men who tragically lost their lives in a helicopter crash last week while en route to Obuasi on national assignment. At the NADMO headquarters, the atmosphere was filled with grief as colleagues paid glowing tributes to the late Samuel Aboagye, remembering his dedication and service to the nation. In a bit, we shall connect with our correspondent on the ground. However, we can take a listen to some staff of NADMO as they eulogize Samuel Aboagye.
I think that we all joined NADMO this year with him. And he happened to be the Deputy Director General. I am the head of budget for now. So at management level, Samuel's impact is very great. His contributions to decision making is very impactful. That's what I can say. Samuel, as we call him, is an affable person, a very humble person, and he does not drag issues when it comes to decision. He will always tell you that whatever decision you have taken, I agree with the decisions. For now, Samuel's impact will be felt because replacing him will be very difficult because of his nature. So I think that NADMO has lost an asset. The nation has also lost an asset. This is what I can say briefly about Samuel for now.
I've known him for a few months ago. Yeah. And he was very calm. Anytime he saw any staff around, he respected the person, no matter how you run, no matter how your color, and no matter how your attitude. He respected everyone. And he's walking around, even if you didn't know him and you saw him, you would have known that this man is a humble person. Yes, and I want to believe that this is how God created him. But God speaks, and what can we do? His absence from us today has created a very big vacuum, very big vacuum. And that we are only praying that where he's going, he should not forget that he left behind a very big vacuum.
Any Samuel Jila,
head of the Director General and the President, any other person
Samuel Aboagye
to maintain this vacuum.
Honorable Aboagye, before coming to NADMO, he has been a friend and I work closely with him. I can say he's a good man, and I can't say much, but all that I can say is he was a good person to work with. and he was free with everybody. Even though the time was short, the impact he left will always be remembered, because looking at this place and the whole yard, you can feel how Mr. Aboagye was. You would have faced it, have been with us for long, but God knows best and God needs him more.
We just heard from some staff members of NADMO. That's 1 week celebration in light of the demise of Deputy Director Samuel Aboagye. Stanley Niebler, who covered this event for us, is joining us with a bit more. Stanley, what else can you tell us about the commemorative event? Well, it appears Stanley is not there at the moment, but we can bring you by the numbers. Now, the recent military helicopter crash, which claims the lives of 8 gallant men, has once again brought Ghana's defense preparedness into sharp and painful focus. Beyond the nation's grief, the tragedy has exposed serious gaps in our military readiness, aging aircraft and the resource logistics, and systemic vulnerabilities that threaten operational safety. Calls to increase defense spending and retooling the armed forces have grown louder. Speaking on TV3's New Day program, Solomon Owusu, spokesperson for the Movement for Change, lamented the state of the country's military logistics and urged immediate action.
You can't play with the military. We are only fortunate that we have not been faced with any serious situation in this country. But the day that situation will face this country, that's where we will see our folly. And these things happen just to draw the attention of the state that, hey, you are not immune to facing difficulties, and that you must prepare for difficult times and not always to be sitting in your comfort zone and think that, oh, we are always praying. Ghanaians have that mentality that because we go and pray, we cannot be faced with any challenge. This must be a turning point.
What should we be doing right?
We must, as it were, allocate more resources to our military. We must modernize our military. The days of going for macho men and wearing dark shades is over. Now militaries around the world are using sophistication. IT. They are doing all the sophistications. They are doing all the hacking. Look, the other time we had a problem with Argentina. They threatened the whole country that if we don't take it, they will hack our Bank of Ghana system. We were begging. Because we didn't have what it takes to stop that. Can you imagine? So when we say security of a nation, now it has moved beyond the physical confrontation to the IT levels. How cautiously do we recruit people into our military? Taking into consideration these professionals. Absolutely. That is the way we must go. The death of the 8 must be the turning point in this fight against Galamsey. Major Muhammad died. We overlooked it. 8 are gone. We must not overlook it. It is telling us something that, hey, we have to confront the issue once and for all so that this country will be safe. This country, we have been able to create the impression that we don't have money. So all of us think that we are poor, yet every day we are paying taxes. What do we use our tax revenues for? That the whole army, like the Ghana army, you go and give them just 6 billion. Even this one has been increased. 2024, they gave them 3 billion Ghana cedis. Convert 3 billion Ghana cedis into dollars.
Now, despite significant increases in defense spending over the past decade, the incident highlights a hard truth. Investment in numbers means little without equal investment in quality assurance, rigorous maintenance, and strict accountability. Now, today By the Numbers, I will now break down the data on budget trends, equipment, inventories, logistical capacity, and inefficiencies within the Ghana Armed Forces. Mauna, what have you got?
And so I think from starters, Solomon is quite right with the numbers he mentions for the year 2020, 2024. and we'll get to see that, and then the general overview as to why perhaps there's a conversation or a demand for some retooling of the personnel at the Ghana Armed Forces. And so here's the general overview of what it is that we're looking at when it comes to the Ghana Armed Forces between 2014 and then 2024. And so rightly stated, 3.89 billion cedis total budget for the year 2024. In terms of active personnel, we're looking at roughly 15,500. Then their share of the budget, just 1.9%, and that's under 1% of our GDP. And if we want to as well go into the details, perhaps I'll leave that for when we get into the details. But let's start off from the budget analysis and the trends as to what it's looked like. So we started off in the regions, and we went back as 2019, in the regions of 1.2 billion as at 2019. We've done well in improving upon that, because from this number, we're looking at 3.9 billion right now. But if we come to this side where the pie chart is, we get to understand in what areas this 3.89 billion cedis is going. A huge chunk of it going into taking care of personnel, which is 45%. Procurement is taking some 30%, operations 20%, and then other, or what you like to call miscellaneous activities as well, taking the remaining percentage. But if we want to compare that amount to what prevails in comparison to our neighbors, then we're looking at Nigeria's 3.16 billion US dollars. Comparatively, we are doing 0.31 billion US dollars by the terms of share volumes or amount what we're handing out to our military in terms of their operations, amongst many other things. And that's because the Nigeria Defense Force, as they would like to call themselves, they possess quite a high number of personnel as well. And so if we look at the personnel, which constitutes the Ghana Armed Forces, we're looking at the Army, which is more often than not on the ground, 12,000, in the regions of 12,000. The Navy, largely on the sea, 2,000, and then the Air Force as well, 1,500. And I mentioned, when we want to do the comparisons with our neighbors, Nigeria, they have 230,000 in terms of active force. Of course, the argument can be made quite simply that Nigeria is a lot bigger than we are, and so you can understand why they seem to have a lot more persons within the army. But let's talk equipment now, because that's an area where as well there is a number of concerns. When we look at the land forces, which is the army, 1,824 vehicles, including logistic trucks, amongst many other things, 71 APCs. When it comes to guns and, when we talk the military, a lot of people get excited as to the ammunition which will possibly be in our possession. We don't quite possess very sophisticated artillery in that regard. In fact, missile or rocket launchers, we have just 6. And when we travel into the naval forces regions as well, not so great in terms of the gadgets or the equipment they should be working with. And the same argument as well can be made for the Air Force, who have just 10 helicopters. I wonder if that number will still be 10, considering that fatal crash which we experienced exactly a week ago. And I'll end with the regional comparisons again, just for us to get an understanding as to what exactly it is that we're looking at. So in terms of comparisons, we can see, for example, that for our aircraft, where we possess 19 aircraft, Nigeria has 149. Naval vessels, we have 28, they have 109, amongst many other things. And then our budget share as against theirs, I mentioned, they are posing some 3.1 billion US dollars, and we're doing 0.31. Let's take you on to Zoom right now and have a conversation with security analyst Emmanuel Kutin on how best, as a country, we can support the various security agencies to enable them discharge their duties more efficiently. I appreciate you speaking to us, sir. And defense spending, we can see from what we've gone through, has tripled in the past decade. But yet still, it does appear there are critical gaps in terms of the readiness to deal with potential threats to the country.
Well,
Thank you for having me, and very good afternoon to your cherished listeners. Mawina, it's true that in the last 10 years, we've almost tripled our defense budget. Because of personal costs, we have new procurements, and then we've expanded a lot of operations. If you remember, in the recent times, we have this violent extremism lurking around us and the COVID-19 scenarios. But there is a challenge. We have a serious accountability problem. And that by itself poses a very serious security threat to the country. Because if you look at events that has unfolded within the Ghana Army, you remember in 2010, there was this armory theft. We didn't see the light of investigation on that matter. If you recall, in 2021 as well, there were this smuggling of arms that we had a hint on, and there were some arrests. And all this highlights our stockpile security. And you recall that the late Defense Minister, Dr. Omane Kofi,
he had mentioned a number of such developments as well.
He spoke about the missing ammunitions that were allegedly transferred to national security. And subsequently, a week later, he came to confirm that indeed there were some kind of ammunitions missing. So you realize that this on-track ammunitions also poses a grave risk to national security. So to me, I am all for the retooling of the Ghana Army. Because if you look at the Ghana Army in general, it is relatively lightly equipped. We don't have any main battle tanks. And if you look at our appetite for movable vehicles, you realize that we did about 1,802 overall. And all this goes against other essential items the military needs. As we talk now, we don't have any power, no self-propelled artillery at all. We don't even have any defense system mechanism in place. So you realize that the army, as we speak, we have to really thank our men and women in uniform. They are doing so well with very minimal support in terms of equipment. And the heart of it is accountability. If you look at the Ghana Navy, we have about 28 patrol craft. We don't have frigates, destroyers, to talk about submarines. And if you come to the Ghana Air Force, it's so pathetic. We have only 19 aircrafts. And out of the 19, 10 are helicopters. And out of these 10, a lot are not functional. Even if you look at the CASA, that was primarily procured for transport purposes, 2 are not working, only 1 is working. And then the other 2 are being used as spare parts to keep the others in service. So relatively, if you look at what is going on within our Ghana Army, I think we all have to call a spade and come to the aid of the army. And a lot of people make a lot of arguments around our neighbors. I think we are simply comparing mangoes with apples. If you look at the landmass of Nigeria, their population, and even their personnel,
right?
I don't think that we'll be doing any good if we want to compare.
But in terms of
Cote d'Ivoire, where we are relatively, in terms of population, more than them, they are doing better than us. And for obvious reasons, they have immense support from France because the French want to have a hold on the Francophone country.
Absolutely. And but let's talk what immediate steps, because we've gone through the numbers, we've gone through the data, and what really the challenge is. We should be retooling. The government should be taking the frontal steps in doing that. What, in your estimation, could possibly be the inhibition? Because these facts and figures we've been going through, I'm very sure the government is well aware of.
Yes. So if the Ghana Army, and you know how politically charged these conversations can get, especially when it comes to spending the taxpayers' money. the Ghana Army must be accountable. All the allegations that were raised with regards to the missing ammunitions and other distance, investigation should be swiftly done. Then we can pinpoint where the fault lines are, and we must also make use of technology.
Right.
Our armories will still use pen and paper to document who takes what and who doesn't take what. We have to also make use of technology. And at the same time, we have to prioritize modern equipment. We still waste our scarce resources on Soviet-era equipment. And if you go to the military today, we are besaddled with that kind of equipment that are that are not functional and are not fit for any modern military warfare. So we have to be intentional and apply our scarce resources to the things we really need. And we must also take our procurement very seriously. If you look at the amount of allocations, a lot of this taxpayers' money gets misappropriated by way of overpriced military hardware due to procurement breaches. And like you mentioned in your chat, you realize a large chunk of the money went into miscellaneous. So we need a very accountable army such that the people can support the call for the retooling. On this call, I want to commend to Fred Sulu for bringing this up.
Thank you very much. That's Emmanuel Kuting speaking to us this afternoon on the very latest in terms of retooling the Ghana Armed Forces, and I'm sure it's a conversation a lot of you will be interested in as well. That's it from us by the way of By the Numbers.
Now, the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Koforidua, Most Reverend Joseph Afrifa Ejekum, has urged the clergy to be circumspect in their public comments regarding the tragic helicopter crash that claimed 8 lives. He made the remarks after signing the Book of Condolence in memory of Dr. Mane Boama, a devoted Catholic and one of the victims of the crash.
Exactly a week ago, the nation was struck by a tragedy. 8 lives were lost in that devastating helicopter crash. As families, loved ones, and colleagues mourned the deceased, the Catholic Bishop of Koforidua, Most Reverend Joseph Afrifa Ejekum, is asking the clergy to be circumspect in making pronouncements concerning prophetic revelations on the incident.
Prophecies are there, and I believe it is in scriptures. But at the same time, one has to be very, very careful. You know, it is not that you go to sleep, you have a dream, and you think that God has spoken to you, God has revealed something to you. And that is where we have to be very, very cautious. We who are men and women of God, religious leaders, we have to be very, very careful. Especially situations like this. Don't let us capitalize on it and come out with all kinds of unfounded and call it this way, so-called prophetic messages. Let us be very, very careful. Let's pray hard. Even if you think that, yes, God has revealed something to you, let us be circumspect about it. How do we come out to say something? We should not forget, the families are there, the wives, the children, the immediate family members and loved ones. And what are we churning out in the name of prophecy?
He's also asked politicians to lead exemplary lives.
I can remember very well his humility. His life of humility. He's a man of faith, a man of prayer, and practiced his Catholic faith and was proud, to demonstrate and manifest his Catholic faith everywhere. And so I would say that going into politics, people should not, as it were, shy away from their religious beliefs.
Now, the paramount chief of Wasame traditional area, Tetrete Okuamwa Sechim II, has called on Ghanaians to let their grief be a catalyst for national unity and progress. Speaking at a candlelight vigil in Sekunde, organized by the Western Regional Coordinating Council, the Western Regional House of Chiefs and Security Services, he urged the citizenry to protect the land, cherish their people, and foster unity.
So here in the Western region, the cloud is thick due to the grief that has unfortunately befallen the nation as a result of the passing away of 8 gallant men. As you can see here, traditional authorities and members of the Western Regional Coordinating Council are tonight organizing a vigil. Student bodies as well as personnel from the security agencies here in the Western region have all joined forces in unity as they lit a candle in memory of these 8 fallen heroes. The garrison commander, who doubles as the commander for the Takoradi Air Force Base, Air Commodore Eric Yuenchi, had this to say.
We have lost not just skilled aviators and statesmen, we have lost sons, parents, husbands, colleagues, and friends. We feel their absence with every breath, and we will forever carry their memories with us. Tonight, as we light candles and raise our voice in prayer, let us also raise our spirits in acknowledgement to their ultimate sacrifice. Let this vigil serve not only as a ceremony, but as a moment of national reflection. Let it be a testament of our grief, our love, and our refusal to let their light fade unnoticed.
Paramount Chief of Wasame traditional area, Tetrete Okuamwa Sechim II, on behalf of the Western Regional House of Chiefs, also gave this address.
Let this loss be more than a moment of grief. It must be a turning point. Each of us, in our own way, must rise to protect our land, uplift our people, and guard unity that makes us strong. In doing so, we will advance Ghana with the same courage that they showed. Keep their light burning and ensure that sacrifice was not in vain. Nananum and the Western region pledge to do our part in this.
Finally, the Western Regional Minister on behalf of the Western Region Coordinating Council, Joseph Nelson, also had this to say.
Remember our compatriots. We mourn them, but beyond that, we cherish the services they rendered to this country. Let it inspire us to continue to serve and even serve better.
So live here on News Central, we're going for our very first break. When we return, we'll do politics because some executives of the opposition NPP have picked nomination forms for Dr. Baumia. We have all of the details if you stay with us.
Reporting from the Takoradi Market Circle, from the heart of the Upper West Regional Capital,
from the heart of the Ashanti Kingdom,
reporting from Sunyani,
from the Central Business District of Navrongo.
The parliamentarians are on recess.
This is where it all unfolds, the moments that potentially alters the course of our nation and the world. These are the individuals we recognize, the voices we amplify, who appears on screen and who contributes behind the scenes. With professionalism at our core, we bring you news you can trust. Impact journalism that makes a difference. This illustrates how diverse perspectives enhance our strength and reinforces our mission. This is 3 News. Leaders in breaking news, exclusive interviews, facts and analysis on TV, radio, online and digital. 3 News, first in news.
Welcome back to News Central. In other news, a strong show of support today for former Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia as a group of party executives picked up nomination forms on his behalf. In a brief address, Dr. Bawumia expressed his gratitude and promised bold initiatives aimed at improving the lives of Ghanaians, especially the youth.
190 out of 552 came to me and requested, the leadership came and requested that they wanted to put their widow's mind together and pick my forms for me. I agreed because that was a remarkable vote of confidence in me. And this morning, they have fulfilled that promise they made. And they have picked the forms from the headquarters and have delivered the forms to me today. The youth are a major asset for our party. They represent the future, and they are an asset not only for the party, but for the nation. And I want to thank them for this major vote of confidence. I want to say that I am minded to contest for the flag bearership. I will make a full declaration in that regard when I go on to submit the forms that you have handed over to me this morning. But let us.
And away from politics, the police has issued a statement in relation to the arrest of some 3 individuals, some of which have caused quite the stir. We've got reactions from the NPP early on in the day as well. Let's try and read verbatim exactly what the police has been saying and has been coming through just a short while ago. It reads, it's titled, Police Statement on the Arrest of Daniel Adomako Prince Ofori and 2 others. It reads, the Ghana Police Service in collaboration with other security agencies has arrested Mr. Daniel Adomako, known on social media as Obama Pokwase, earlier today. His arrest is part of ongoing intelligence-led operations by the police and other security agencies aimed at dismantling networks involved in the illegal possession and display of sophisticated weapons. He's assisting investigations into some images and videos he circulated on social media depicting individuals openly brandishing these illegally acquired sophisticated weapons. These operations, which have been ongoing for several weeks, have led to the significant reveal of a substantial number of illegal arms and ammunition. In a related development, 3 other persons, Prince Ofori, Yayira Abiu, and Emmanuel Kwachi, are in the custody of the police, assisting ongoing investigation into cases of threats of death and publication of false news following the recent helicopter crash. The police service reiterated its unwavering commitment to ensuring the safety and security of all citizens by rooting out criminal elements and preventing the proliferation of illegal arms. We urge the public to continue to provide credible information to assist us in these crucial investigations or operations. Further updates, they say, will be provided. It's signed by Grace Ansar Crowfish, she's Assistant Commissioner of Police and Director, Public Affairs. It will take us on to Regional Hub right now.
Our first stop will be in the Savannah region, where the Regional Security Council has stepped up efforts against the sale and use of illicit drugs in the region. According to its chairman and regional minister, Salisu B. Awurubi, the RCC has directed all 7 municipal and district assemblies, especially those along border areas, to ensure that they undertake series of operations to prevent illicit drug trade. Now, the RCC and the Narcotics Control Commission recently prosecuted 6 people arrested in a joint swoop in Damongo. We can now engage Christopher Amoako, Savannah region correspondent, on this development. Christopher, tell us how widespread the issue or problem of drug trafficking and use of same is in the Savannah region.
Yes, Kemini, I must say that the sale and usage of illicit drugs is not only peculiar to urban towns in the southern parts of the country, but also across the northern belt. It's also widespread, especially in the Savannah region. And so over the period, authorities in the region have been taking steps to ensure that they clamp down on traffickers and users of these illicit drugs. We all know that the Savannah region, western part of the region, is bordered with the neighboring countries such as Burkina Faso and La Côte d'Ivoire. And so we also know how our borders are very porous and unapproved routes. And so it's very easy for people to traffic these drugs into the region. So the Regional Security Council, together with other security agencies, are doing their best in the region to ensure that they clamp down on the drugs that get into the region and the usage of these drugs.
I see. Christopher, how's the RCC and NACOC working together with other security agencies to deal with this situation?
So they have intensified their operations. First of all, the Regional Security Council has directed the other municipal and district assemblies in the region to also do same by also intensifying their operations. And so in the 7 administrative municipal and district assemblies, some suits have taken place already, and the traditional authorities and other stakeholders have also given their backings in this regard. And so the collaboration is there, and the security agencies are also ensuring that they do their best to clamp down on the traffickers, the sellers, and the users of these drugs. Let's take a listen to what the regional minister, Salisu Biaworobi, and the director for NACOC have been saying.
A part of the ongoing exercise that we have actually taken up very seriously. And we are happy that the court is giving these sanctions and asking for the destruction of these illicit substances within our mess. Together, the Regional Coordinating Council, the Narcotic Controls Authority, and the security agencies, we have stepped up our game in the Savannah region. We have declared the use of illicit substances as a no-go area for anybody in the Savannah. We've directed the district security committees and the municipal security committees to also step up the game and liaise with the Narcotic Control Authority to make sure that no corner of Savannah that we shall permit either the use of these drugs or the exportation or importation or the trade of these drugs in any way or form.
Salisu Biaworobi is Savannah Regional Minister. Earlier was Christopher Amwako, our regional correspondent.
Let's take you to the Volta region right now because students at the Vakpo Senior High School in the Volta region continue to sleep in bag-infested dormitories as the school battles with inadequate accommodation infrastructure. School authorities say the overall state of infrastructure in the school remains a major setback to effective teaching and learning and are appealing to government to intervene. Faisal Abdul Idrisu has more.
The Vakpo Senior High School is one of the oldest second cycle institutions in the North Dine district, established in the 1960s and was later absorbed by government in 1970. The school currently has more than 2/3 of its 1,500 student population housed on campus, putting a strain on the school's existing accommodation infrastructure.
In the night when we are about to sleep, some of our colleagues have to wait for us to be those sleeping on their bed to sleep before they lay their beds, and some have to even sleep on the pathway which we sleep on. We walk on, and at times some of them even sleep outside on the corridor because the dormitory are already choked. Those sleeping at times they have to wake up from their sleep because we have to get ways to pack, and we don't find it easy at all.
Any single time where a section, we have 600 girls in school, in average 600 girls. So because of that, the space seems not to be enough. So we converted a washroom to the uncompleted building to a space for them to use, which is not convenient for girls actually to use. But that is what we have now. So that is what we are using. The block we stand in front of was an old boys' dormitory. But technical men came to realize that it's not safe for use. So because of that, we moved the boys to join others at the new block. So over there, we converted the Chobox room that is attached to the new block into boys' dormitory, which is also there. So it's a difficult situation for us as a school.
The discomfort at night goes beyond inadequate sleeping spaces as congestion in the dormitories has become a breeding ground for bedbugs.
Students are forced to sleep on the floor. Also because of the overcrowding, there are bedbugs all over, and at night you are not able to get enough sleep. And as you can see on the wall, at night we wake up killing bedbugs everywhere, killing them, and there's not enough sleep. So we go to class and sleep during class hours. Whilst we are supposed to be learning, we sleep, and it's not helpful.
Because we don't have enough spaces for us to keep our trunks and choboxes, they are kept with us in our dormitories where bedbugs infest in our choboxes and trunks. Also, reptiles like snakes and other animals enter into our dormitories, which really affects us, spending almost half of the night in killing bedbugs and cockroaches in class, we spend most of our time in class sleeping.
From inadequate accommodation facilities resulting in sleepless nights to lack of classroom space is the story of a school that has contributed significantly to the country's human resource development for over 6 decades.
Our classrooms are nothing to write home about. They are not enough. We don't have teachers' bungalows, which really makes maintaining discipline on campus very difficult. But we don't have a library as of now. So all these things are needed. We are pleading with the government to really come to our aid.
Faisal Abdul Idris with that report, bringing us to the end of Regional Hub and taking us to our very second break this afternoon. And that's our bulletin for you this afternoon. Coming to you from the John Hammond Street. I am Mawina Egbeta. And I am Kemeni Amano. Next is the afternoon show. We will see you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.